quick-witted bards and bardettes. Welcome back to I Cast Vicious Mockery. I am Austin.
I'm Matt.
And today we're going to be talking to you about ourselves mostly.
Yeah.
We just had a really great D&D session not 10 minutes ago. I did not look at a real watch. I don't know how long it's been. It was a session which did last twice as long as I expected.
As all sessions do.
As all sessions do. It was really a great start to a campaign, a one-on-one campaign that I was DMing for. And Matt here, he was playing.
I was.
As, what's your character's name?
My character's name is Hugeaux DuBois.
That's right. It's spelled Hugeaux DuBois.
But it's pronounced Hugeaux DuBois.
Anyway.
Possibly one of my favorite names.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I like that name.
And we came up with a bunch of cool stuff. You actually might get to see some of this session. We'll probably cut it for length because it was an hour of character creation followed by an hour of playtime, which was one combat encounter and a little bit of cool poking around. Actually, we did get to see a lot of what Hugeaux could do.
Yeah, I got to do a lot of stuff.
He did get to do a lot of cool stuff that like fit him. So, and that was all kind of an accident.
A happy accident.
It was all a happy accident. Oh my gosh.
And may I just say, it was fun.
I also had fun.
I had fun.
I had fun as the DM, which I have before, but also it's been frustrating before.
Yeah.
This time it was just fun.
I agree. It was basically just fun.
And maybe it's because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no like, come on, skip through the cutscene, you know, stuff like that. It's just like.
It's just, just fun.
Yeah. So that might be one thing, because as a DM, sometimes I get a little bit impatient with players. Anyway, there's some other stuff we got to talk about today too. We'll talk about that in a second. First, we're going to do a product review. I'm doing it right up near the beginning of the episode so we can, I don't know, it just feels right. You know, kind of like get it out of the way a little bit, but also like, it's a thing I legitimately want you to know about in case you're interested. And we're going to rake in that sweet, sweet affiliate link revenue from Amazon. And so that product, which I'm going to show you now, is the Adventure Zone graphic novel by Clint McElroy, Griffin McElroy, Justin McElroy, Travis McElroy, and Carrie Peach. Is it Peach? Carrie. I actually haven't tried to say Carrie's last name there.
Or
it could be Peach.
Pietch.
Yeah, it could be Pietch or something. It's a graphic novel, and it's actually an adaptation of a podcast to a graphic novel.
Yep.
They did an excellent job of adaptationing that. Really good.
Yeah. You know, adapting D&D sessions to other media, I think, is a pretty good idea in general.
Yeah. You have a lot to work with, though, too.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
They definitely had to cut stuff out of here. There's actually an encounter missing from here, from the book version. Totally fine, though, because not everything is of, vital importance necessarily.
So I have a question. Is this graphic novel, is this a retelling of what happened in the sessions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Because Critical Role and Matthew Colville wrote some of the Critical Role graphic novels.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure all of their graphic novels are things that happened to the characters, but not during the campaign.
Yeah.
Which is another way to do it. Yes.
Which is really cool thing to do. For this one, it's a straight retelling. So if you've listened to the podcast, The Adventure Zone, then you know what happens in the book for the most part.
Yeah, but probably worth a read still.
Oh my God, definitely. And I'm saying that as somebody who listened and read basically at the same time. I could listen to it faster than I could read it because I listen to it while I'm doing chores and I read when I have free time. Chores that are much more likely to pop up than free time.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Mhm.
It's actually funny though, because it was at a similar pace, um, not quite the same.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But I'll show you some of the book. All right,
Mhm.
I'll show you some pages here. I hope that you can see that, because this is something that Matt pointed out to me actually, and I didn't realize that it was sort of below the conscious layer of my mind there. But each page kind of has like a really good palette going on.
Yeah.
Like it's just really like, look at that.
It's
It
like
like really like
purpley.
resonates with itself. Like
Yeah.
they obviously spent a lot of time and effort. That's fine. Spent a lot of time and effort sort of perfecting the art and making it look as good as the story is. And the story, like, they improv'd it, but actually, for a lot of this, they were following until around the end of this book, they were actually following an adventure module.
Mhm.
And then it goes off the rails. And when it goes off the rails, it goes off the rails. There are 3 books in this series right now.
Mhm.
A 4th one coming this summer, and I cannot wait for the other ones. I will wait, but I can't.
Yeah. No, it's exciting it's exciting when new things are being released by content creators that you really like.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, absolutely.
that's cool.
I mean, I've been waiting basically forever for the Vox Machina television series.
Oh my god, yeah, that'll be cool.
No, it's a production of an animated series like that takes some serious time. So
Yeah, normally, and then I think it was delayed even further.
yeah,
due to COVID,
yeah,
and all
due
that,
to COVID and everything. Yeah, but
that's life.
that's how it is. But it's really exciting. I'm really excited for it.
Mhm.
I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a good series.
So
Um,
now that's just a little side note for us today, but fun thing. We might do more, like telling you what you should read or check out or stuff.
Mhm.
But
by the way,
Mhm.
The Legend of Vox Machina is being released when it comes out on Amazon Prime,
Well, okay.
Amazon Video, whatever it's called.
So I'm gonna be checking it out on there. Maybe I
Yeah.
can even get Anna to watch it. I don't know. Probably not, because I can't seem to get her to watch anything.
I don't know.
But-
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I recommend it to her, she would watch it.
Maybe if
No,
no, she
probably
doesn't take your recommendations either, but there is a way. There's a way in there. Somebody could recommend it to her and she would be like, "Okay, yeah." No, maybe that's not true. I can't tell. Maybe everybody has to recommend it for her to watch it. I don't really know, because you watched Tiger King, right? Because everyone was. But
because it was like a cult thing.
yeah,
like
yeah, it was
were-
like a moment in time. It was like a big like a
yeah.
wide spanning thing.
I mean, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I watched it too, actually.
But like not everything like that. Like she hasn't watched Breaking Bad, which almost was like, not quite, I guess, not to this.
I think it was.
Well, definitely not to the same level of everybody watching it at once.
I actually read recently that I think on IMDb
Mhm.
the episode Ozymandias the episode called Ozymandias of Breaking Bad is the #1 highest rated episode of television of all time.
I've not seen a single episode of that show.
But I can't remember which one that was. I don't know which one that was. I don't remember what episode that was. But I watched the whole show.
Mhm.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was a really good show. Anyway, no, I am like that though. I'll watch things that are really popular. I watched Game of Thrones. I watched
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. I watched.
I don't watch a whole lot of stuff on my own.
But you know what? There are some things that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't want to watch them because the fact that I haven't seen them is almost like
Makes you more valuable.
yeah, because I'm like one of the few people who hasn't seen it. Like I've seen episodes, but I haven't watched through the entirety of The Office.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's one. Like
I don't think I've seen the entirety of it either, but
I haven't even seen most of it. I've only seen
Yeah.
like a handful of episodes when they were on, like when they were on cable, like a
yeah,
long
that
time
would, I
ago.
mean, that's where I'm at.
So yeah, it's not like I hate The Office. I just never really wanted to watch it. I don't know.
So how long have you hated The Office?
Like basically forever. Yes.
So what you're saying is,
Yeah.
no, okay, but now I guess we got to talk about ourselves
Mm-hmm.
for most of today. Maybe we'll get a little bit of homebrew action coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
But we just had a 2-hour long session.
Yeah, it was fun.
1 hour of it was character creation.
Uh-huh.
Who's your character? Well, we talked about him a little. Hugeaux DuBois.
Okay. Yeah.
Hugeaux
DuBois.
What is his deal?
I mean, I had like this sense of a character in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
He's really taking shape now.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the name was the last thing.
It was. That was the last thing that we came.
Literally the last thing I thought of. But and I love it, by the way. It's a great name. So he's a half elf, and he is an environmental scientist. Okay. I think of wizard. I mean, artificer maybe is more like, no, they're more like engineers.
They're engineers, yeah.
So I think of wizards.
A druid can't be an environmental scientist because
they're hippies.
They're hippies. Right. So a wizard is pretty much what you're left with.
Right. So wizard. So the only thing I knew, Austin basically just said, come up with a character.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And because of some character creation stuff I did for NPCs for Cataclysmic Rift, I knew that I wanted to play a School of Abjuration wizard.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. School of Abjuration wizard. And then it all kind of just fell into place from there. I was like, okay, what's his deal? His deal is he wants, and then I guess part of what informed his character was, I made him a half elf, a wood elf,
right?
Half elf,
right?
And I gave him the ability to blend in, be able to hide in plain sight, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like he can hide in mist or in loose foliage and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, so he's got like the sciencey part because he's a wizard, and he's got the naturey part with just that one characteristic. So I made him that basically is what made me be like, okay, maybe he's an environmental scientist.
Right.
Right. I was like, okay, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that the nature is in his blood as a wood elf.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the setting that is forming, that would be the case.
Yes. And but he's not going against his nature, but what he really wanted to do was to go to school to become a professional, like a high level professional.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a goal of wanting to really study the art or the science of protection. He wants to be able to keep himself safe basically anytime.
Right.
Right. So,
and that's what abjuration's all about.
But he also knows that like you've got to, you gotta really, put your nose against the grindstone to get that kind of stuff to work. So he knows that he can't avoid, the like hardship.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to be a a little like boat, or like he doesn't want to be like a swift warship that avoids all the cannons. He wants to be an ironclad.
Yeah.
Right. And he wants to get right up in there and blam, blam, blam.
Yeah. He wants to be like basically untouchable. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not built, and it's not in his nature to be like a brutish type, you know? So he's not,
I mean, he's 5'10". and 140 pounds.
Yeah.
So
he's
like, you can see, like, when you look at his hands, my hands are like, you can see it on the camera. You could see like the ligaments and stuff in the back of my fingers. It'd be way more clear on his hands.
Yeah.
And then like if you're, if you're a little bit heavier because you have more muscle or things like that, or if you're fat or whatever, you're not going to see that on your hands. So he's the opposite. He's just further toward that end of being like,
he's scrawny.
You could see, you could see his skeleton. You could throw him, like a light breeze would blow him over.
But spoilers. The reason I chose School of Abjuration Wizard is because they get this crazy stuff at higher levels where, like, if you cast an abjuration spell, then you give yourself automatically 10 temporary hit points. And like you can like increase your armor class and stuff like that.
Oh, that's pretty sick. Okay.
Like you can it gives you the most insane abilities for protection. I think it increases your constitution score too. Like you have ways to increase your constitution score. So basically a School of Abjuration wizard gets way more hit points than a regular wizard. Because wizards normally don't get hit points, they get no hit points.
Yeah, they're pretty much, they get the lowest amount of all the classes.
Wizards and sorcerers both get the lowest.
Yeah.
They get D6 or D4 in their hit point pool.
Yeah, which means that on average you're getting 2 more hit points per level. Well, 2 more plus whatever, but
right, exactly. So every time you level up, it's 2 plus Constitution. So,
but if you just assume that it's +2, then that seems pretty paltry next to the barbarians. What is it? 10? Do they roll a D10?
Barbarians have the highest at a D12.
D12. Okay, so they're getting like +6 every time.
Yeah, barbarians are the only class that rolls D12s. Fighters and fighters and artificers get like D10s, and then you're thinking like druid, ranger, those get like D8s. And then you're looking at like the D6s are like the most. I think D6 is the most common.
Yeah,
that's like your warlock, or those classes. Druids are D6s too, actually. So like druids and warlocks and
but for druids it doesn't matter because they're just gonna polymorph anyway.
Yeah, they're gonna wild shape.
So they're gonna Okay, so what did we want to say next about that? So
about Hugeaux?
Yeah, about Hugeaux. You made a custom background for him.
We did, yeah. Environmental science background.
Yeah, we didn't want to go for anything too crazy, but we gave him 3 skill proficiencies.
Yeah. We balanced it out. So he has 1 tool proficiency with an herbalism kit. We figured that makes sense.
Yeah.
And 3 skill proficiencies. He's proficient in stealth, which, you could argue, anyway, but I think that would make sense. Stealth, nature, of course, which wizards aren't naturally proficient with nature. It's not one of the choices for wizards to be proficient in nature.
Well, we don't have to cover everything, but yeah, he also has survival, right?
And survival, yeah.
You if we ever show you the actual, I mean, we can always, show like his character sheet or stuff like that. I don't mean show it on screen. I mean have links to it. We're not going to show it on. Well, we could, but that would be pointless. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to show stuff on the screen, but at the same time, it's more important to have a link to it, because this is going to be up on other platforms later. Anyway, I think so what was the process like for coming up with his name?
Well, all it was, I've mentioned before, I really like to intuit those kinds of things.
Mhm.
I just sort of feel out different names, and then when I come to one that feels right, I'll know it.
Yeah.
So all that happened. I mean, you just said you were like, in the setting that I'm coming up with, you said elves, like the Sylvan language,
Mhm.
which kind of is the base for Elvish,
Mhm.
is based in French,
Right.
right? So
Yeah, it would sound like French to us
right, so
if common sounds like English. Mhm.
right, yeah. So if common is English, Sylvan is French,
Right.
you know, that kind of thing. So it would, and you said Elvish would then be more like a Creole type thing.
Right. Yeah.
Which is
it's like a
derivative of
Mhm.
French, right? Not the same language, but they're related.
Yes.
Which is Sylvan, and actually that's how it is in D&D. Sylvan and Elvish are related in that way, where Sylvan is the main
Mhm.
language, and then Elvish is a derivative of it.
Yep.
So
So we didn't change that.
no, so that's, yeah, so it still works that way. So I thought, okay, what's a French name I know? That's literally, I didn't look that up. There's an artist I like, a music artist, Madian,
Right.
and his name's Hugo. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be Hugo.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to just name him completely after this guy. His name's Hugo Leclerc. Is how right? Is that how you say it in French? I'm not good at saying French stuff. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to
Right.
just make him Hugo Leclerc, you know, because that's not who he is. So then I Googled French surnames, and I came across Dubois.
Mhm.
And I was like, Hugo Dubois. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. That just rolls right off the tongue.
It does. It has a nice rhythm to it.
It's a good
It has a
name.
very English rhythm to it, actually.
It really does.
So it's easy for us to, like, you know, get into the groove of.
Yeah, Hugo Dubois. Man, it feels right. So I just it felt right, so I did it.
Yeah. Yep. And I think it's good. I think it's a good name.
Mhm.
And overall, we haven't fleshed out too much of his backstory yet.
No, I haven't really thought about it yet, but
I made some modifications to the wood elves to suit my needs and my preferences.
yeah,
Right,
like aesthetically, you mean?
Yeah, aesthetically and functionally.
Yeah,
There's a little bit that they
functionally.
can do that other things can't. But most of it was to like explain why he has certain like his ability to blend in.
Mm-hmm.
I had to explain that by saying that he has a little bit of a touch of the wood elves iridescent skin. They have in my setting that is developing here. They have iridescent skin because
Mm-hmm.
from certain angles it looks like leaves, and from other angles it looks more like bark or things like that, or even dirt. Depending on like where you're looking at them from, their skin's going to look a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough that you'd be like, not enough that you would say that their skin is a different color entirely or anything like that. From the like copperish whatever it normally would be.
Mm-hmm.
But enough that like, yeah, you wouldn't notice them hidden up in a tree.
Right. And if you're not
You'd be
sure,
like, yeah,
if you're not sure like what that means, just get out your holographic Dark Magician from
Yeah.
your deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Just kind of fiddle around with it. You'll see what we mean.
Yeah. From certain angles, when the light hits, like right in the certain spots on them, it's one color, but indirect light causes a different color to happen.
And if you don't have a holographic Dark Magician, then I don't know why you're listening to this podcast.
And then I figured, all right, so if they blend in with the treetops so well, which they do, why are they up there? And how are they getting around up there? Now, a lot of the time, I think wood elves are shown as being almost like Naruto, like jumping on the branches or stuff like that.
Yeah, arms behind them, yeah.
Yeah. But I decided, you know what? Mine are going to be ape-like a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So they've got these super long arms. And by super long, I mean, compared to a person. They've got these super long arms and big hands for climbing on stuff.
Big old hands.
Yeah.
You know what they say about big
you
hands?
notice that their arms are long because like their hands come down to their knees on their sides. If they just hold their arms straight down, that like their fingertips touch their knees. But they honestly look a little bit like basketball players with shorter legs. Is what they kind of look like.
That's probably man. What an apt description.
Yeah.
They're basketball players with short legs.
Well, not even
Cool.
yeah,
Shorter,
not even super short, but just like like a normal person.
They're basketball players with normal size legs.
Yes. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. If you saw Yao Ming's arms on a regular dude, no, that's too big. Actually,
no,
too
no,
big.
No,
it's more like Michael Jordan's arms on a regular dude.
Okay, there you go. Michael
yeah.
Jordan's arms on me would look really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
So basically, the way that we're coming to all this stuff is, well, each constraint that we put on it means that certain other things have to follow.
Yeah.
Right. But they also give us clues as to what it's like. That way we're not working in the dark. We're not just like coming up with stuff out of nowhere. Like imagine it's just, well, what's the consequence of what we just decided on?
Right. And here's the thing. Here's a really, 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 really important thing. This is what bogs down a lot of people. I'm just going to ask you a quick question. Why did you decide that Sylvan was going to be like French?
Because I decided all the languages were going to be based on a real language, and Sylvan was going to be based on French just randomly.
Exactly. There doesn't have to be a reason for everything.
Yeah, it could have been anything.
Like it.
I mean, I think fairies speaking with German accents could be cute.
Oh yeah.
So, there's that. Or it could have been any number of things. But I just decided, hey, they're going to sound French.
Yeah. So that just goes to show, like, don't get bogged down in why all the time. But
because you can why either direction.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could start from anywhere and just be like, all right, Sylvan sounds like French. That would mean that, first of all, probably other languages don't really sound like French. So if you were picking a different language, you would be like, all right, these guys don't, like Dwarvish doesn't sound French. It doesn't. It probably sounds Scottish. Come on, we all know.
We all know what
dwarves sound like.
Everybody knows what a dwarf sounds like.
All right. Come on, class. Let's go ahead and close your eyes.
Halflings are Irish.
Dwarves are
Scottish.
Good.
And
very
elves
nice.
are from the UK.
And
I guess
elves are.
it's all UK. But.
Yeah, my elves are from Louisiana. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Does your setting have a Popeyes?
I mean, it doesn't not.
Okay. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, all the Popeyes have elves working at them. Is that how it goes?
It's Louisiana
That's
fast.
not good. That's not good.
Louisiana fast. Okay.
Well, so the thing is, actually, that's another decision. Is the language separate from the culture? In this case, yes. They sound French, but they don't act French. Like in a way that they act like Sylvan creatures act like fairies. They just sound French to us.
Right. Yeah, it's like they don't smell bad and are obsessed with grapes and cheese.
Right.
It's not like that.
No. They smell pretty good. And they're obsessed with just cheese, not grapes.
Is that an elvish thing? Cheese?
Cheese is not an elvish thing, I believe.
Thing. Okay.
No.
I didn't think so.
That's a pretty human one. That's a very human thing.
Cheese? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I know you really like cheese, but I've never been big into cheese. I don't really eat. I don't like eating
It could be a Minotaur thing too, but that's gross and weird to consider.
What? Because they're...
Right?
Because it's milk from a cow?
Yeah. So it would be like humans drinking milk made from humans eating
a product.
Human milk cheese.
Oh, people have been doing that. People do that.
Actually, no. I guess so. If they ate cheese from a cow, then it would be like a human eating orangutan milk cheese.
So, so what you're saying is,
Right.
Minotaurs do eat cheese, but only cheese from humans or orangutans.
Orangutans.
Okay.
No, they eat goat cheese.
Goat cheese. Okay, there we go. Goat cheese. Minotaurs eat goat cheese.
They eat goat cheese and think that we're weird for eating real cheese.
cow
I'm not
cheese.
saying goat cheese is bad or anything. I like goat cheese, but it's just not called cheese. It's called goat cheese.
I don't like cheese enough to have ever had goat cheese, so I don't know what that's like.
Dude, listen.
I've never had goat milk either, actually.
Well, goat cheese is actually, it's like a pretty chill experience.
Is it?
Yeah, I had like a blueberry goat cheese before.
What?
Yeah, look, listen.
Okay.
I know that sounds terrible.
No, it doesn't sound terrible. It just sounds a bit of an odd combo.
Okay, and it is.
You're right.
It is, but it was good. It was good.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's like a nice, like sweet and savory, I guess, combo.
Which blueberries are good for.
Yeah.
When I was in China, I had blueberry Lay's potato chips. Those were really good.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a concept I never would have considered.
They didn't really taste like blueberries, but they were good.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them a lot.
They have really cool food in Asia.
I know Asia has like the best flavors of snacks specifically.
Yeah.
They have good snacks.
They also have the worst flavors of
snacks.
They
also have the worst flavors of snacks.
You take the good with the bad, but
man, speaking of goats, I know they're not the same as goats, but I've heard that lamb is not tasty.
You heard wrong, my friend.
Is it good?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I've made it. I've made lamb. I've cooked it.
You've cooked it yourself.
Yes.
Huh? Or okay.
And it was good.
Sorry. I guess maybe that's not true. Maybe what I heard was there's only a couple of ways to cook it where it is good.
Maybe that is true. I don't know.
I
broiled it.
You know what though? The person who told me that is also a person who told me something about another person. I don't want to really get into that, I guess. But he told me something about another person that I found out later was absolutely not true.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I just really can't take what that person says.
Yeah.
very, very seriously.
So now, to get back into the topic of your new campaign, just for you.
Yes.
Personally customized.
My personal campaign.
I had no clue what the setting was going to be.
Well, I knew that there was no way that you could have because we came up with the idea for my character right before we started.
Right. Yes. So I was like, he's an environmental scientist. Why? Why did he? And we determined that he went to school for it.
Yeah.
So why would you go to school for environmental science? Now I know that real people do that.
Yeah.
So it makes sense in our setting of being a real human person in this world. But how you make that make sense in a fantasy world? Well, I guess this is how I came up with it. I was like, that would be similar to, I think, what if I put environmental science on the same type of thing as computer science, AI, machine learning, data science? Those things are for real.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really big topics. A lot of people are going to school for that right now.
Yep, including me.
Yes. Not as many as are going into nursing or things like that, at least at where I went to college. But
yeah,
a lot of people. And it's a popular, important topic in the general world as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I determined that, well, there were probably some kind of big environmental calamities going on that needed the research now. People needed to be figuring this stuff out.
Yeah, there's the demand for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Either it was pushed in response to that, or possibly people are figuring out how to manipulate the environment in ways that could be advantageous to all people, all beings. In the same way that, well, I mentioned this before while we were making the character, but um, in Da Vinci's time, in the Renaissance, I guess, they were really big into water, right? Water transport with different types of ships and things, and the transportation of water by, making canals and controlling, like with dams and other things like that, controlling the flow and placement of water, large amounts of water, which was a thing that they hadn't really done very much of before that period in time. And it just like sprung up, and it was like a big important thing for the whole world. And now it's just like, people just do it.
Right.
People just, it's like pretty mundane.
We got pipes and stuff.
Yeah. Like, all right, we know how pipes work, so we'll just do a big pipe.
Do a big pipe.
There's a huge pipe in Germany somewhere where there was a big mine, and now they had the whole place is like full up with, or is filling up with water or something like that, and they have to pump out water constantly, or the entire like town will sink into the ground. But the mining company pays for the whole thing.
Wow, really?
Still, like to this day, the mine is abandoned or, well, useless, but they still pay for the water removal. That's the word.
Yeah, stuff like that happens a lot.
Yeah,
like more often than you might think, even.
But so that, that's kind of where I was thinking. I was like, I guess I watched so many different YouTube videos that eventually something is going to click in my brain, and I'm going to be like, oh, there's a connection to something I know. And that's how we come up with the world, like on the spot. Just things are happening, and we figured out what type of environment is Hugo from. He's from somewhere like where we're from, but maybe a little more temperate. Right?
Yeah,
not quite as not as Arctic as we are. We're not that. It's not that bad here.
Yeah, we live in the North Pole. This is Santa's workshop.
This is Santa's workshop.
Yeah. This is what we do in the off season.
It's a quiet time of the year. Yeah.
I'm glad we went to the same place with that.
Yeah.
Though, funny thing, a lot of retail places, like especially where I work, it is a very quiet time of the year.
Not where I work.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess gift cards or something.
Oh, people are now using all their gift cards?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just know I worked at Staples until recently, and whoa, it's the busiest I've seen it. So I guess it might be people like starting the new year, getting back into work, like wanting to start new stuff.
New projects.
New projects.
Yeah, businesses.
New work budget, new work at home budget too. Like your office gives you new money to get supplies and things, and so there's just been lines and lines and lines of people. Very busy.
Yeah, that's interesting. That makes sense. I work with alcohol. I have two jobs right now, and they're both selling alcohol.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Ooh, you're gonna have a big week coming up when the Super Bowl happens in 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Probably at the beer store, but
not as much at the other one. Yeah,
not as much as the liquor store, because actually the liquor store, they said that they won't be busy again until like Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
I know. Wine is a big thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
But you can buy that at the gas stations now.
Ladies love wine
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Up until recent years, you couldn't get wine anywhere else, but now you can buy wine at like gas stations. Though, I mean, come on, would you buy your mom a bottle of wine from a gas station? Some people would.
No, I'd get it in a box.
Box wine.
Yeah. For Mother's Day. Yeah.
I've never had box wine. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not either, obviously.
But I'm sure that the beer store will be very busy. You know, I had a gentleman at the beer shop. He walked up to me a couple weeks ago, and he handed me a gift card, and he was like, "Hey, can you tell me how much is on this?"
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I didn't know what to expect, right? I scanned it for him, and I like printed the little like receipt that says how much is on it, and I looked at it, and I was like, it looks like there's $300 on this. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. And he was like, what? He like couldn't believe it. And I was like, I guess somebody really cares about you. or something. I don't know. That's a lot.
Or they didn't notice our typo there.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
That's a big thing to miss on both ends, you know?
Mm-hmm.
300, like if they meant to put 30, there was this other guy. Oh man, was this guy cheap? He came up to the counter at the beer store, and he was like, "Can I get a gift card?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. How much do you want on it?" And he was like, "Well, my son really likes craft beers, like Southern Tier, you know." And he was like, "How much is it for a case of Southern Tier?" And I looked it up, and they're all pretty much the same,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think it was like, I can't remember the exact price, but I think it was around like 30. It was in the $30 range, like 35, I think. I think it was like $34.99, right? So let's just say that because I don't remember. So he was like, I was like, oh, it was like $30.99. That might be way. No, it was for whatever. I mean, let's say it's $34.99. All right. So he was like, all right, can I get a gift card for $34.99? And I said, well, no, because it has to be to an even dollar amount.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. He was like, okay, 35. And I was like, okay, well, there's tax on that too.
Did you want to cover?
Did you want to? Yeah. Did you want to cover that as well? I was just asking, like if as a gift, you know, not want to make somebody pay the tax. And he was kind of like, okay. And so like I did the math for him, and I told him that. And again, he was like, can I get the exact amount that you just said? And I said, no, it has to be the exact dollar. It ended up that he ended up getting a gift card for, like $38 exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the weirdest thing. And then he walked out of there. The owner the owner of the beer shop was like standing right by me doing something. The guy walked out the door and he was like, man, that guy's cheap. It's just a weird circumstance. Like,
yeah, you get weird people all the time,
Yeah. Why wouldn't you just like be like, okay, 50 or something? Like,
what if
40,
what if you ran into somebody like that in a shop, in like a bazaar?
Yeah.
All right, like
okay.
and you're trying to buy something. All right, and then this dude over here talking to the merchant behind you. Mm-hmm. This is going on.
Yeah.
Has this ever happened in D&D before? Like, do we ever overhear a conversation like that? That's got to happen.
I've been meaning to do stuff like that, actually. Mm-hmm. Like just because especially after, this is kind of like my first experience working in retail.
Yeah.
Like ever.
Yeah.
And as a customer, maybe I've seen it once or twice.
You see it a lot more from the other end.
But yeah, on the other end, you're like, geez, this happens way more often than I would have thought.
Yeah.
And it's baffling, the kinds of things that people do in stores. It's crazy. Man, even little things, but yeah, like that kind of stuff coming up in a campaign setting. Like here, I'll give you a D&D equivalent of something else that I saw recently. Mm-hmm. Some guy walks up to a merchant.
Yeah.
And they just walk up and they're like, hey, I don't want to buy anything, but can you turn this gold piece into 10 silver pieces? And then the shop owner's like, no, buy something, if you want to do that. And then they're like, ugh, Fine. And they're just like roll their eyes, and then they like walk back to their like wife or something, and they're like, "Oh, you said he can't do that," and whatever.
I could turn it into 2 half gold, half silver pieces. Is that good for you?
Yeah. So at the liquor store, we can't open, like, I can't open the drawer
Right. Yeah.
myself. Like, I need a manager to do that. Yeah. I had a guy walk up and be like, "Hey, can you give me $1 for these 4 quarters?" And I just said, "No, I'm sorry. I can't do that. Like,
Right.
I literally can't do that." And he like, yeah, he like rolled his eyes and he was like, "Oh, you can't do that." He like was mocking me. I was like, "Geez, what was this? What's happening with this guy?" That'd be funny though to see in D&D.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. Like a recurring character who
Like,
shows up at all this shops. Like, why is he there?
why is he always here?
It's this guy again? Ugh.
Amazing.
And he's just like the latest terrible retail experience. You just get to act it out in D&D. This is a good idea, guys. Put that in your campaign.
It's fun. It's fun because, what if you made a character like that? Just to like really,
like your player character,
yeah, like
was just fine at adventuring and heroing and all that stuff. But then when it comes time to like buying stuff, they're like,
they're a total Karen.
"Do I have to use my card for this, or like can I pay with cash? It has a card reader on it. Is it card only?
I want to put.
There's no spot for cash. Is it card only?"
I want to put. Could I do $20? Could I do 10 gold in gold pieces, but then the rest on my card? Wait.
I do that to get rid of cash though. When I'm like, I don't need this.
No. Honestly, that's not a big deal.
That's totally like in case you're ever wondering about doing that.
Yeah, no,
everyone's fine with it.
It is totally fine. The one annoying thing, especially at the liquor store, because I can't cancel transactions, and I can't like remove something. Like a manager has to do it. It's the worst when somebody puts all their stuff on the table, you scan it all, you tell them the total, and then they're like, "Ooh, I don't want this." And they like pick a random thing out. And
I didn't realize that people did that so much.
It happens way more often than I ever would have expected. Yeah, it's crazy. And
I just add it up while I'm going, and I do quick addition. I do quick estimating. So it's usually like my estimate is way higher than the actual amount.
I make a conservative estimate. Yeah, I make a conservative estimate. I'm like, I know there's tax on this. So yeah, I'm like adding up, and it's always like a couple dollars less than what I think.
Yep.
And that's, what you'd expect, right?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I do now at the grocery store? I have the app for the grocery store. I just pick out everything I'm going to buy, and then it tells me exactly how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
And then there's literally no surprises. Unless I get something else, but then I know how much that costs.
Dude, what if we had that in D&D?
Ooh, like an app?
Yeah. That like tells you how much all the items cost.
Magic, because of the way magic works, there should be stuff like that.
There should be.
There really should.
Here's a little quick item I was thinking of.
I never thought about making a chain item shop. Why have I not ever thought about that before?
Oh yeah, it's a thing.
That's such an obvious thing to do. Okay, well, yeah, absolutely now.
But anyway, so here's check out this cool little item idea. You should be able to make a little sensor that detects things which are invisible due to magic.
Yeah.
Here's how.
Okay.
You have it shoot out a little light, and the light bounces off stuff and goes back into it. And that's like radar, right? And it can detect that light and shoot it out using magic. Doesn't need any other explanation. But it also goes like, it sends a signal through the weave and sees where that bounces off. So it detects like the nearest magical thing, basically, and kind of feels where that is. And if they are the same distance, then if it hits something on the weave, but it doesn't hit something there with the light, well, you just found something invisible.
Oh yeah, like it. Oh,
And then a little green light can come on or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, like an invisible detector.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
but
like
you just have to point it at the,
oh, it could be like a metal detector.
like a metal detector.
Because then it could beep faster the closer you get to the invisible thing.
Yeah, it could.
Right?
Yeah,
it makes sense, right?
It'd be pretty much like that.
Yeah.
So yes, like that kind of thing could exist especially if you try to stay consistent with how things work in the magic system and all that. People are going to come up with fun ways to exploit it, and then too many fun ways, and then you ditch that setting and move on to a new one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's power creep, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I might be a little bit overcautious about power creep because that's something I don't like. I don't like the power escalation.
I like the ingenuity and I like the progression.
Yeah.
But the problem is we only spend so much time figuring out how the system works. Like you only spend maybe a couple weeks. I mean, you might keep working on it, but it's still not that much time compared to how much time you spend in it. Whereas
that's true.
Physics, I mean, there's billions of years of stuff, and there's a whole, it's very complicated. So we've spent, a couple, I guess I can say a couple thousand years trying to figure it out. And we're not there yet.
No.
Right. But you're not going to come up with a system that complicated because it takes so much time to encode that much in it that you can't do it.
Right. Exactly.
With multiple people trying to figure out your system, you're never going to be able to make one more complicated than they can take full advantage of.
Right. And that's why so much of D&D is just kind of like, that makes sense.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
No. No, it really does not.
Because if you try to make everything,
why'd you have to go and make things so complicated?
Yeah. Trying to, I can't remember the other next part, man.
Something got me frustrated.
I know.
Acting like
somebody else gets me frustrated.
I don't know. Avril, could you tell us your lyrics in the comments real quick? Just if you could real quick. Avril Lavigne only homework. Could you please post the lyrics for your song "Complicated"? Thank you. We would like to know them.
Have you heard Weird Al's "Constipated"?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. Just
what kind of person do you think I am?
Yeah, where he eats too much pizza. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. You ever hear "Trapped in the Drive-Thru"?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That song is really funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I like that song a lot. The part in that song where he's like, and he was looking at me, and I was looking at him, and then it turned out he just zoned out and didn't hear what he said. Oh, that's so relatable to me. Sorry, I zoned out a bit. I didn't hear what you said. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but you guys should listen to that song if you haven't. It's pretty good. Anyway,
we'll put that one in the homework for you.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of homework for me.
That's so much homework.
Yeah. Hey, you want to get a little homebrew?
Yeah, I found
sip a little brewski.
I don't. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I'll throw out the concepts to you, and then you can throw out to me the idea of what you want to hear about.
That sounds like a fair trade.
Okay.
One concept for one soul.
And never mind, because the thing that I saved earlier today didn't show up on here. So I guess.
Oh dear.
I could probably find it again, but So here's a system related thing. This person put in combat choices. So like other things.
Who's this by?
This is by DiemTheGM. DM is in Carpe Diem.
Okay.
DiemTheGM. So this is just something that they came up with. It's a mechanic, I guess. And it's essentially just using adverbs to describe the way that you do your action on your turn.
Okay. And then what does that?
And then
I guess we'll see.
Then it has an effect on what happens depending on which adverb you use.
Okay. Does it like go based on your stats?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
I guess we'll
find out.
Okay. There's only 4 or nope, never mind. There's a lot more than that.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. There's only 2 pages that are here. There might be more linked.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to do the ones that are in front of me here. Like, for example, you can attack something boldly.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a trade-off thing.
Yeah.
So if you do something boldly,
does it like lower your AC but increase your 2 hit?
It gives examples. Like maybe you might accidentally overdraw your bow, or maybe you might just be like slashing wildly, reckless abandon,
mm-hmm.
or spinning first before you try to hit somebody to get some momentum. So you have to declare the adverb before you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to say, I'm going to boldly, whatever. So you roll the dice equal to the largest type of damage that you would do with your attack.
Okay. So I boldly cast Vicious Mockery.
Okay. Vicious Mockery, the dice you use depends on your level.
Yes. I'm a level 12.
I don't know what that is. Is that D6?
I think it's D6.
D8?
No, D8 probably.
By then it's probably D8. So you'd roll a D8,
mm-hmm.
and then you subtract that number that you roll from your attack roll.
Okay.
Then, if you still hit, that same number that you rolled is added to the damage.
Ah, okay. So do all the trade-offs work? Well,
Ooh,
what's another one? What's another one?
Okay, it says quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So adding quickly increases the likelihood of harming an opponent.
Okay.
So increase, but sacrificing power.
Right. So it's the opposite. All right. Cool. What's the next one?
Directly.
Directly. That sounds like what does that do? Yeah.
Certain part of a creature.
Ah. Okay.
And it has to be approved by the DM.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's the next one then?
Cautiously.
Okay. Does that increase your armor class
after
the strike or something? Or
yeah, you increase your armor class.
Okay, cool.
So
it's like walking up behind your shield and being like, plop, plop, plop.
Yeah.
Like Zelda 2.
Yeah. That's what it should be called. I'm going to Zelda 2.
Yeah.
And it gives you some suggestions on what kinds of things could happen if you attack directly to certain parts of a body.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, I figured as much. I like that whole system.
Mm-hmm.
Because different things like hastily could actually increase if you say quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's some penalty for some gain. Hastily might be more penalty for more gain. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing. Depending on what you feel as, so there's like a subjective, objective element to it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So some of these mechanics make sense, but some of them actually don't make a lot of sense. Well, yeah, no.
Well, they probably I'm sure they haven't been tested to the ground or anything like that.
No, that's true. That's true. Especially quickly, because quickly says that you add 2d4 to your attack, but the damage is halved. So it's useless to do that with anything that would do more than 8 damage.
Right.
And the more damage it would do. Why? Because then if you do,
because it adds 2d8 to hit, right?
2d4.
2d4 to hit.
No.
To the attack.
Just itself. To the damage.
To the damage. Oh, okay. So
yeah,
exactly.
Then you have it.
Situationally, I guess you would be.
Yeah, but it would almost always do more damage if it was only 1d4.
Mm-hmm. So like punching.
Yeah.
So if you're a monk, you just always, I punch quickly. Ha!
Haha.
And it's just free damage.
Because then it would be 3d4 halved
Yeah. So you're
instead of just 1d4.
Yeah, 3d4. So 3d4, that's going to give you roughly like, things have like 3 average, maybe a little more than 3 average. That's pretty good.
Which is, well, I guess that's about the same. No.
Well, for
Yeah.
for a 1d4, your average is going to be
Well, it'd be 2.5. It would be 2.5.
because it'll round down if it's just 1d4.
Wouldn't it be 2.5 on average per dice?
Well, it'd be 2.5 on average, but with just 1d4, with it rounding down.
That's true.
If it's ever halved, I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I guess it would be 2.5 damage per round, roughly.
Per attack.
Yeah, per attack, not per round. You're right.
I don't know if it doesn't even. I don't know if it says if you can do it for multiple attacks.
Ah, sure.
But
I punched quickly twice. I mean, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
If you punch slowly twice on the same turn, that could be weird though. So maybe some of them do conflict with certain things, which would be cool. That's too in depth though. Maybe it's hard to keep track of that almost, right? Like what things you're allowed, because that adds a lot of things you're allowed to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, every time you add new rules or mechanics, it exponentially increases your options.
Yes, we've determined that many times.
If they interact with every other thing you can do, yeah,
which makes for a really rich system.
It does.
But so it's usually kind of good.
It makes for a daunting system too. I mean, when Carly was on the show, she talked about, or I don't know if she talked about this on the show or not, or if she just talked about this with me, but she talked about how she was trying to get some of her friends into D&D, and a lot of them were sort of interested in it, but she said that they were almost intimidated by the rules. Like there's so many rules, there's so much to know, they just felt like they couldn't get into it because they would just have to devote so much time to it.
And in that case, I say to you this. Yeah, that's kind of true. But that's because all the rules, all the different little things that are technically all pretty much optional. They all are based on the one central rule, which is if you want to do something, you roll a d20, a 20-sided die, and find out if it happened or not.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what because if somebody wanted to get into D&D and they were worried about that,
yeah,
I would tell them, listen, you don't have to know anything.
Right.
Really. You don't have to know anything about it to get started. I used to think that it was so complicated.
And I did too. And then I ran it and I was like, they don't know if I know this or not.
Yeah. Well, right. Well, that's actually, it's probably really easy to run a session for people who don't know it because you can really just make stuff up.
If you want to get into it and all of your friends do and none of you have, well, guess what? You're going to be great.
Yeah.
You're going to do just fine.
Yeah. Don't get bogged down with all the rules and stuff like that. It's not a big deal. But it really does just boil down to what you said. If you want to do something, you roll a 20-sided die. You know, sometimes you add some numbers, but the numbers that you add, especially now with something like D&D Beyond, the numbers that you add are very clear. You know, and then you just then the DM tells you whether or not it happened.
Yeah,
the way you wanted.
Yep.
Everything else about the game is just made up.
Yeah, like so. Here's an example from the Adventure Zone.
Oh, affiliate link down below.
Yeah, at least they do this a lot in season 3. I don't know about in the first one, which is what this book is based off. They had, like, when they're in a big fight with a bunch of enemies and other allies, what will happen a lot is some of the allies will take some of the enemies out of the fray, right? Like they'll be wrestling around over here and you don't have to worry about those anymore, right? Like you just don't really think about that now. It's not really part of the combat. And I like that a lot, like it's a good way because then you don't have to wait for the allies' whole turn every time and for a billion, enemies and all that kind of stuff. But they're still doing something. They're still fighting with you.
Mhm.
And you're glad that they're there, you know. You lucked out if you were smart enough to bring somebody with you or whatever. And that's not really part of the rules, you know. It's
No,
actually
and
like the
yeah.
master class the homebrew class that we talked about on
Oh
the show.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's a little bit like that,
yeah. It's like
you
that.
know,
Yeah,
class feature.
yeah. You
Um,
take them out of it for a
yeah.
bit. Yeah.
So like you'll be able to figure out stuff like that, like just based on how your game is going. You'll be like, I gotta speed this up. Dragon comes in and stomps on the bad guys real quick, and then everyone's like, "What just happened?"
Why? And then you know what? You don't even have to have a reason.
You don't have
You can
to.
come up with the reason later, or there's never a reason.
Right.
That's fine.
Right. Things do happen by chance sometimes, but
Yeah.
like the other thing is, no. Well, so your first time playing is gonna probably be your worst time as well because you don't know what you're doing. While you're doing
Oh,
it, it feels fine, but like if you
just like some other things.
if you um yeah, if you play once and you're like, wow, I'm not good at this or whatever,
Mhm.
um well, you're probably just fine at it. You're probably normal, like everybody else is at it. um but what you should expect actually is that each session kind of is a little bit better. Not sequentially only better than the previous, not strictly increasing in quality, but all better than the first one. So if you liked that, well, guess what? You're looking good, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, are you talking about as a player, as a DM, or either, or both?
Well, I think as a DM, you kind of have some responsibility for like running things for people, kind of.
Yeah.
And you're going to be bad at juggling all the responsibility of that at first, in a way.
You sure?
Um, So that gets better with time and it becomes easier and more natural. As a player, you are going to have trouble, playing to your character's role or role playing, as some people might call it. You're going to have trouble with things like that at first. Um, and neither of those things is what makes the game good. Right?
No,
Like
yeah, not
all the
necessarily.
advanced stuff isn't what makes the game fun. It isn't what makes it enjoyable. It's all just like degrees of interest and skill. I mean, it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know, have you ever done archery?
Briefly, yeah, I don't even know if I could hold a bow right anymore, but I did a little bit. Yeah.
I like archery.
Oh, me too. I
I
think
think
it's
it's pretty
cool.
fun.
I have a bow.
I'm not good at archery.
It's like a child's bow. It's like a recurve, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have a bowstring. I need to get a bowstring.
Oh, it doesn't have a bow? I thought it did before.
It did, but it was like frayed, and I was afraid. I was worried.
Oh, yeah.
I was afraid it
You
was going
should
to
actually
snap.
bring it to a archery shop, which I don't know if there's one near here anymore. Because the one on that street closed.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Mm.
It's been replaced with a toy shop. Anyway,
Mhm.
so you got to bring that to somebody though, just to make sure that the wood on the bow is still fine, because otherwise you might pull it back and
Yeah, splinter. Yeah,
yeah,
I read
violently.
Hatchet. I know how dangerous that is.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's. You ever have that where like you watch a show or you read a book or something, and there's just that one thing. It's not important.
That's not what stood out for me in Hatchet.
Yeah, that's the one thing from that book. Well, there's a couple other things like that, but
Mhm.
for some reason, the part where he tries to make his own bow and it explodes in his face
Mhm.
is one of the parts that's just stuck in my brain. It's seared in there forever.
For me, it's the part where he's spearfishing.
I
And
remember
he
that too.
realizes that he should put the tip in the
In
water,
the water,
first. And he's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh, I got it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. One of the other ones is when he accidentally chips his axe and he realizes how important it is
Mm-hmm.
because he was trying to make sparks for a fire.
Yep.
And then he's like, "Oh no, I chipped my axe." this thing is very valuable. I really shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I forget what happens. Does somebody? Oh, spoilers. Ooh, man. Ooh, that was close. Spoilers for Hatchet. Shouldn't say that.
Yeah. Does he survive or not? We don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember. I actually don't remember what happens. So I guess I was going to ask the question, but I'm not even sure if that was right or not.
Well,
so
the other thing
I
that
guess I
stands
won't
out
say
for
it.
me is what happens near the end, so I'm not going to say
Oh,
that
okay.
one.
Okay. Gotcha.
No spoilers for Hatchet on this podcast today, guys.
But if you haven't read Hatchet, that's a good book too. I like that. I liked it. What?
Yeah, we'll put a link to that in the description.
We read that in 7th grade?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still remember it.
Did you know there are other books in like there are sequels to Hatchet?
Really?
And I think it's about the same character getting stuck in the woods again. Oh, I guess that's kind of gives away what happened.
Wop, wop, wop.
I'm not sure though. It might be totally different people.
Yeah.
Like I don't know actually what those are all about, but there are sequels to Hatchet. Yes. It doesn't feel like a story that would have sequels.
No, it doesn't feel like a story that should have sequels.
Yeah.
Really, honestly.
Yeah. Like stop flying in planes.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I guess that is a weird thing to tell someone.
You know,
I mean, you do tell. Nah, whatever.
The more I've thought about it, the more I appreciate a story that can just end. Like a good story that can just end, without sequels. Because
I thought that was going to be the end of the podcast.
I guess that was a missed opportunity on my part.
No, it's fine.
Maybe it should be.
No, it's okay.
Because you're gonna mess up. Like, unless the intention from the beginning was to make that much content, there are a few people who can do it. Like Lord of the Rings, there are a lot of people who like all of that content, right? Something like Game of Thrones, the story just isn't finished yet.
Right.
Like,
so there has to be another book.
Right. There's got to be more. But once it's over,
do you need another Game of Thrones, like Game 2 Thrones?
Right. Exactly. Because I see that as sort of like I don't like it. It's okay if it makes sense, but I think of the Shrek movies, right? The second one was, I think a lot of people like that one the best. The second one, the third one, I don't remember, and
people don't like it.
People don't like the third one.
People don't like the third one. I
haven't seen any of the other ones.
I have not either.
There is a fifth one.
Is it out? I thought it was coming out.
Yes, there's a fifth one coming out. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Shrek the Fifth.
I don't know
what it's called.
I liked Shrek. I think it's a good movie. I think it holds up as a good movie too.
Yes.
I mean, obviously it's, came out in what, like 2003, I think.
Hey Google, what year did Shrek come out?
Oh, here we go. Getting the answer.
In the United States of America, Shrek came out on April 22nd, 2001.
2001. Somebody once told me.
We were in first grade.
First grade, yeah.
Well, no, we would have been in second grade. It was the end of the year.
I really do. I really think it holds up as a good movie, though. But it's kind of ruined that. It's not ruined the first movie, but it's. I don't like that it has all these sequels that just. There's no point to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first one was satire, like because all these Disney movies were coming out, the fantasy fairy tale thing, and it had like a purpose to it.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying something with it. But then they were just like, oh, this movie did really well. Let's make more of them.
They just did the same thing.
Yeah.
It just became what it was against.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
I'm glad that you said that before I could, because I was about to say it real bad.
We're going Batman up in here.
You either live to be the hero, guys, or you die to see yourself going again. You decide in the comments which one of those is the real quote.
Yeah. Harvey.
Where's the trigger? All right, guys.
That's it.
We got to go find that trigger. We'll see you later.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Well, they might watch this during the... It doesn't matter right now. It's fine. We're cool. We're good. We're cool. We're good.
You might want what?